Hi everybody, it's January 10th, 2015, and today I'm going to go through some items I picked up at the flea market. I went back to the flea market where I picked up this quick change holder, and I wanted to make a special trip out there to try and see whether or not if I dug through any of the other boxes and bins of stuff that they had there, if I could find any of the attachments that went in here. And unfortunately I didn't end up finding any for this. They may have either been picked up by somebody else and bought before I got there, and the other possibility is that it's still somewhere not unpacked yet, because I wasn't able to I got there and the guy had to leave that was watching the place. He had an emergency situation, family situation, so he let me stay and poke through some of the stuff. And then his partner, the guy who, or actually the guy who really runs the whole thing, I met him for the first time and we exchanged some contact information. So turns out I'm driving out there. It's about a 30-minute drive to get out there to that flea market. Come to find out, this particular guy lives right here in town. So we got to talking, and he took my contact information, and if he gets anything really interesting, he'd be more than happy to just call me directly and have me take a first look at it, which suits me just fine. He's got an item there I'm kind of interested in, sort of interested in right now. He's got an old Rockwell. He's got an old Rockwell disc sander. It looks like to be about a 12-inch disc sander. And I've seen a lot of those where they've got the disc sander and the cast iron table, and then they've got the vertical belt sander attachment on it. This is just a disc sander, and I didn't look at it really closely, but I don't think it ever had a belt sander on it. But it's an early one, and it's got the original motor on it, and it's got a nice cast iron table that tilts. And I was thinking, boy, that's a really nice piece of equipment to have. I've got one now in pieces that I bought at an auction years ago, and I never got around to putting it together. And I actually bought it from when I was into woodworking, and I figured I'd set that up in my wood shop area of the basement at some point. So that's why I didn't buy this one. But the more I looked at it after seeing it 2 weeks now, you know, he's looking for $100, but he said to me, he says, that's my starting point. So in other words, he's willing to deal. I could probably get that thing for $75. And I think it's worth every penny. It's a nice old rugged machine, and it must predate the merge. I think Rockwell merged with Delta, because I've seen some machines that said Delta Rockwell, and so this is an earlier machine, but like I said, it's really sturdy. It's on a metal stand. It fits on there perfectly. So I might still try and do something there. I really don't feel like buying it, because I don't want to spend the cash on something like that, since I may already have another one. But if I could do some horse trading with him, I've got a DeWalt radial arm saw, an early one, cast iron, really nice unit. And I really don't have use for a radial arm saw any longer. So if he wants to do an even up swap for that thing, I probably would do it. But we'll see how that turns out. You know, for all I know, he sold it. You know, that was a week ago this past Sunday that I was there and talked to him. So here's what I ended up buying. I got some really good deals there. What's in here in this box totals $45. That's what it ended up coming to for everything that's in this bin. And I brought my Napa bucket with me, because last time I was there, the guy who was watching the place for him, all he had was plastic bags, and I had a lot of trouble carrying all those little pieces without having things poke out, fall out all over the place. So we'll start by, so remember I said this whole bin, everything in here cost me $45. 15 of that was right here. Got a nice chain. I forgot how long this was. So it's about an 18-footer, nice heavy. I'll be using this for towing log and trees, pulling with the tractor. But anyways, got the hooks on each end too, so So I thought that was a really good deal at 20 bucks, and he ended up taking 15, so I definitely was happy with this purchase. He had a couple more there, but this was the longest of the bunch. So even 18 feet, I put that with one of the other ones I bought. That's about the same length as this, and I got myself a pretty good, decent sized chain. Alright, so I'm going to tighten up the shot here so we can get a good close-up and go through what's in the bin. Those of you who have seen my video on the haul that I got last time I went to this flea market, which was my first time at that particular flea market, you will have seen that I had picked up all of the spanner wrenches that this guy had. This was, I think, the largest one. I think I just bought from him. So again, the reason why I like these old spanner wrenches is because now working on these old machines like the lathes and that, I'm finding some places where these kind of wrenches would come in handy. I'm not sure whether or not something this big I'd even ever end up using, but it's the kind of thing that, you know, if you use it once, I paid $1 for that, so if I use it once, I'm okay with it. This is an Armstrong, so that was from last time. So this time, I don't think I got any other of those spanners, maybe a couple small ones, but picked up this sucker. And I think I paid $2 for this, or $1 or $2 for this. And this was actually after I had finished getting everything else. I saw it laying on the floor and hadn't noticed it originally. But this is a pretty big one, and it's got kind of an adjustable deal going here. I just cleaned it up a little bit, and this is a Williams Special. Picked up this little, it's like a die grinder, air powered. I have no idea if this works at all. It's pretty rusted and dirty. Has a rusty old chuck on it. Turns freely. And I have no idea who the maker is because everything on this label over here has to do with warnings. 22,000 rated RPM, rated pressure, 90 PSI. But I don't know who makes it because the original label would have been here and here. There's the remnants. I don't know if anybody recognizes that, but there's the remnants of a little label right there. So I don't know if that's a good brand or if it's cheapy or what it is, but it's old as the hills. I took that for $1 just to take a chance on it. If I have to just throw it away, no big deal. Hammers, you know, again with the hammers, the non-marring mallets, yada yada yada. I got one of these. This looks like it might be the same brand as that other one I bought, which I forgot the name on it, but it's an electric motor repair tool manufacturer name on it. Oh, it's bugging me now that I can't think of it. Hold on. Dayton, that's the name I was trying to think of. I believe this is another Dayton. Just because the handle's the same color and it's the same style. Paid $1 for that. But what I was really happy to get was I got myself a lead hammer. And that's probably, well, I don't know. It's kind of deceiving because it's lead. That might be a 2-pounder. But to give you an idea next to my fist how big that is. Pretty good size. Looks homemade. Looks like they just took, this looks like it's just a piece of galvanized pipe maybe, or steel pipe. And clearly that's, you can see the marks, that was in a mold, somebody made that. But you know what? I don't have any lead hammers. And I got that for $2. So I was quite happy with that. Now this next item, I'm a little embarrassed. I was digging through the box and I found one of these first, and I was like looking at it and I was like, alright, obviously this part here is to clamp around something, and then they've got some brass there on the jaw to protect whatever you clamp, and then there's a small V here so that you can obviously reverse this jaw if you want to clamp on something smaller in diameter. And I just, for whatever reason, I mean, you guys who know tools, especially if you know lathe tooling, you probably recognize this right off the bat. But it took me a while. And then I said, well, you know, he had already said anything in that bin was $1. So I said, well, for $1, I got to take that. Then I found another one. And then actually, I think I found the third, but I took one with me to show a guy I know. And What happened was I couldn't think of what it was when I was there. I bought them, brought them home, thought about it, and remembered seeing in my old book How to Run a Lathe that was put out by, I forget who published it, but it was South Bend. There's a section in there on turning between centers, and they show lathe dogs, and they show something similar to this. These are lathe dogs, and I showed it to the guy I know down at my local flea market who does machining for a living, and I said, is this a lathe dog? And he says, yeah. And I said, well, here's the thing I don't understand. Why would you have more than one of the same? You only really need one to drive it. And then he explained to me, he says, well, he said, this connection up here is a little bit unusual. So he said it's quite possible that these actually belong to a crankshaft or a camshaft grinding machine or some kind of a cylindrical grinder or something like that. But he says, you know, you could probably use them for lathe dogs. I couldn't find any markings on them whatsoever. And I think I left the other one in the truck. Pretty sure I ended up with 3 of these. And he said the reason why you would have more than one is because you might be doing multiple operations on the piece. So this would allow you to leave the dog on, take the piece out from between centers, put another piece in, do the operation on that piece, take that one out. In other words, you wouldn't have to keep swapping the dog from piece to piece. And then, so for production reasons, you might want to have more than one of these. But like I said, they get these 2 at least, and possibly a third for $1 a piece. Then I went in and I basically cleaned out what he had left of Allen wrenches. The only ones I didn't take were ones that were really, some of them were either broken or ground really badly on one end. I didn't bother with those. That one's kind of beat up on one end, but that's such a large one that I still, see, that's thicker than my pinky. Decided to take that one. Paid less than $1 a piece for these. I don't know exactly what it all came to, but I remember in the end what happened was I piled everything together because the deal was it was $1 a piece, and then the price went down the more I bought. So I waited to the end and just piled everything with the hammers and everything all in the pile, and that was $30. And then, like I said, I paid, because I didn't see it right away, I bought that big spanner wrench for a couple bucks, and then I bought that chain for 15. So I think my total outlay was actually $47. But so I got all of these Allen wrenches. Then I went through the bin with drills in it that I had bought drills out of last time, and pickings were getting kind of thin, so this is pretty much all that was left of the drill bits that I would be interested in. You know, I got some of these really small ones here, and then I got a couple of these step shank ones. Got 2 here that have this the flats on the bottom there, and then I mean, some of these are in almost new condition. This one here looks brand new. This one's 25/64 fractional. This is an Irwin, I think. Union. Union. So anyways, these are, I don't know what type of metal those are made out of, what alloy those are. Different. And then that's got a really nice long shank on it, so that's why I grabbed that one. But none of them have, either they all have good cutting edges on them now, or could be sharpened. None of them have really bad breaks or chips on them. So, oh, I was going to do the taps next, but I forgot about these. In the box with the drills, there were these. These are envelopes that have really small drill bits in them. This envelope only had 1 bit left in it. This was 11/64, if it's in the right envelope. These are number 19s. So originally, they would have a dozen in there. Those look like 19s? Number 29s. These say, yeah, 0.1360. Got a couple of those. These are all brand new drills. And, oh, wire surface treated, number 28s. There's only one of those in there. Taps. Yeah, same thing with the taps. Pretty much cleaned them out last time with what he had for taps that I could use, other than some of the stuff was really badly rusted. This is probably the rustiest one I picked up this time. It'll clean up though. And it's got the long shank on it, so grab that one. These look brand new, and these have this whatever this gold coating is on here that helps them cut. And then here's a spiral tap. It's got the flute that helps clear the chips out. I think the way these work is you're supposed to be able to just keep tapping instead of having to, normally when you cut you back out to clear the chips, and I think this is supposed to basically do that by itself. There's a fine thread one there, a little one there, and that looks like by the taper that's probably another pipe thread. I've got this next little group here. There was a whole box full of high-speed steel lathe tool bits. I've got several of those now, so I didn't really care about getting those. But I did pick out these two here because I just liked that these had already been ground to profiles that I thought I might be able to use. That looks like that'd be a good for undercutting, groove cutter, and there's another wide one there. And then I noticed that these are marked on the side. UTD Company, Athol, Massachusetts, 7-TTC-8C2. Not sure if anybody knows what all that stuff means. On this side it's marked T5035, or is it TS5030? I don't know, something. Can't quite make it out. And then this one is marked something/Wesson, and then I can only make out, because it's ground back, so I can't read what it said originally, but I can make out TANTUNG, and then a G in parentheses, so Tantung, VR Wesson. So that must be the maker of the blank that they ground that out of. An adjustable reamer. When I looked at it there, I did not see any real damage to the flutes. No, that looks like it's okay. And then there's a really little end mill. There's another small one, double-ended. And then there's this one here. It's got that gold coating on it, gold-colored coating, I should say. But this has got almost like the spiral flutes. I think this is a roughing end mill, but it's a really small one. So I figured that might be handy to have. And then a little center drill. Looks like this side has been used, judging from the discoloration, but it's not broken. And this side looks like it's never been used. So it's always nice to have those. Snap one of those, and you know, these are a few bucks a piece to buy them if I'm not mistaken. Alright, in this pile we got a little unusual wrench here. It's got kind of a spanner, and then it's got some other slots here for very specific size nuts. This almost looks like kind of wrench you might get like in a bicycle repair kit or something. So I don't know if that's an old bicycle wrench or what it is, but it caught my eye, so I threw it in the pile. As did, same thing with this little hammer right here. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a cute little hammer. If there's such a thing as a cute hammer. But you know, that looks shop made. Might have been some little project somebody did on a lathe. Could have even been somebody's, you know, Voc-Tech school project. But interestingly enough, judging from the marks on this side here, that's been used extensively by somebody. Same thing on the face there. It's a little beat up. So, little hammer there. Another lathe wrench. This one's got some original, looks to be original red paint on it. Wonder if that would clue anybody into what that would fit. A punch. I believe this one's unmarked. And then this is a nice punch. This is another, I bought a couple of these last time I was there in different size, so this must have been part of all the same set. This one looks like it's marked Tovay, T-O-V-A-Y. Not familiar with that manufacturer. It's used, but the end is in good shape. And then there was one socket of all the sockets that I came across, and this is the only socket I took because I liked it. It's a Husky Pro, so this is sold through Home Depot. But I like this because it's got this nice coating on it, and it's really clearly marked. I wouldn't mind having a full set of these, 9/16. So that's kind of nice when it's on the rack. You can just see it real easy. Oh, I guess now would be a good time to show you guys one of my Christmas gifts. This was on my request list. This is a Husky socket tray, and it's got 2 decent magnets on the back, and so you can stick it right into your toolbox wherever you want. It can either sit in the drawer and not slide around on you. These are all adjustable, so any size socket can go on any one of these pins. And it's got the little balls, so they snap on and positively lock, which is nice, you know. So I'm going to test drive this, and if I end up really liking it, I'm probably going to go out and buy a couple more. Buy the 1/2-inch version and buy another one of these for my metric sockets. We're coming near the end here of what's in that box, what's in that pail. This is there was a whole bunch of these really large washers, big suckers like that. So I grouped them all together, threw them all in a bolt I found in there, put a nut on it that I found in there, and put that in the pile. So that's nice, because if you go to buy one of these washers at a hardware store or something like that, that's gonna cost you easily over $1 a piece for those. And then same thing with these lag bolts. Recently I've been doing some projects, hanging some shelving stuff down here, and realizing I really don't have enough lag bolts around. These are actually a little too big for the project I was working on, but I said, you know what, I want to make sure I take them, put them in my hardware drawer. So a couple of big lag bolts there. And then this, well, really don't know what this is, but I said, you know, I'm sure I can find a use for it. If there's a taper to this, then I can use it as a mandrel or an arbor. Yeah, I just checked. It doesn't have a taper to it. It's 0.747, so it's just under 3/4 of an inch. This part here, but if it's not hardened, which I don't think it is, I could turn a taper on it if I wanted to, or who knows, I might even just use it for whatever, when I need a project that calls for something this size stock, I might just use it for that. And little scale, little pocket scale. This one, when I looked at it quick, I thought it was a Starrett, but I look at it now and it's orange mass, not Athol mass, which is in the same neck of the woods, by the way, here in Massachusetts. They're very close to each other geographically. This is by the Union Company of Orange, Mass, and it needs a little bit of a cleaning, but yeah, what the heck. And then I don't know why I keep buying these, but I did, you know. Didn't find any blades for them. This one looks like it might be a Starrett. Unfortunately, it's the blades that always seem to be marked on these, so I don't know. You know, one of you Starrett guys might be able to tell me. But that looks like it might be a Starrett. And then, if this is a Starrett, it would be a newer one. Doesn't seem as heavily stylized. Like, I keep buying these. I know at that estate sale I had bought a couple, and I found some blades that fit them. So that I guess what I'm saying is I really don't need these. All right, and then there was this little chuck, and caught my eye because even though it's got the hole there for the key, it's got this knurling here, so you can kind of hand tighten it easier before you have to start using the key. So I thought maybe thread's on there, so that must have come off an electric drill. But I was thinking maybe I could actually put a Morse taper on the back of that, you know, something with a Morse taper on the back, and use that in the tailstock on the maybe on the smaller lathe. I don't know. All right, this says Almond Company, as in like the nut, of Ashburnham, Mass. Model 40-71. I've never heard of that one. I have to look that one up. I'll be curious. But that's what that little chuck is. And the last item was this little oil can. And I mean little. This is now the smallest antique oil can in my collection. A little itty bitty sucker there. Give you an idea. That's the chuck I just had in my hand. So I like that little oiler. Keep that. We'll keep that handy somewhere on the bench.